Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following message that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our admins. The translation of that message reads like this. Hello, brother, how are you? I don't even know where to start. I fell pregnant when I was not supposed to even to fall pregnant. In my bid to get rich quick, I had a scandal that only myself knew of. Poverty and me were not friends and will never be. So I had gone to see a witch doctor who told me to go and sleep with a madman. Then after sleeping with that madman, all of my money problems will be a thing of the past. Sleep with a madman, but where would I find a madman? The witch doctor had told me that was my problem. I was the one that was supposed to find a madman, and if I was serious about ending my poverty, I would find the means to find one. At that time, I was working as a domestic worker. I was new in Johannesburg. I had came from Eastern Cape. So when he said that I should look for a madman to sleep with, that seemed like a mammoth task, but I was determined to find one madman. But would I be successful? I asked myself. I decided that I would go hunting for a madman. I had tried to do all the things that I thought were going to seduce my boss lady's husband so that he can love me, fall in love with me. But this guy, he was just ignoring me. What I used to do was that whenever the boss lady would have gone out, then when her husband was at home, I used to love to wear this other bum shot that will be so revealing, and whenever the madam will be returning back home, then I will quickly return back to my room, which was at the back of the house. Then I would wear a very long skirt. Then I'll just pretend as if I was a decent woman, but this is what I was doing to her husband. And I want to thank God that a husband who is now my husband never even thought of telling a wife that this is what I was doing. So Brother Nashi, whilst I was working for this family, they then told me that they wanted me to get a driver's license. So I did, and they were the ones that helped me out, and I went and I got my learners. The husband then started teaching me how to drive the car. As for his wife, the woman, she was someone who never even thought that I was going to end up stealing her husband. So her husband used to take me, then we would go out when he would be teaching me how to drive. And whenever I was with him, the things that I used to do was to seduce him. Then later on, after I had gotten my license, I was the one who was responsible of going with her kids to school and fetching them from school. Like, I now had full access to all of their cars. I'll even take the car when I will be returning back to Eastern Cape, and they used to give me any car that I wanted. Then there was this other time when I was returning back to Eastern Cape. That was when I was passing through this other place, I saw one madman who was living under this other bridge. I said, this is the perfect opportunity. I then parked my car by the side of the road. Then I got out of the car. Brother Nashi, this was going to be the perfect target. So I then approached that madman. When I approached that madman, the guy, he seemed not to trust me. I said, what am I supposed to do? I then returned back to the car. So as I was busy pressing my phone, trying to think of a way that I can get this madman to sleep with me. So as I was busy playing with my phone, I then went on Google Map. I then noticed that just close to the place where I was, there was this other shop. So I drove like a mad woman. I went to that shop and I bought a lot of bananas and a lot of food, and then I drove back to that same bridge. So when I returned back, and I then took the food out of the car, and I then started throwing the bananas at that madman, and I saw him picking up the food. This I did at a safe distance until I approached him. The moment that I approached him, wow, Brother Nashi, I saw that I was now making some progress, because this guy, I was not scaring him off at all. He was busy chowing the food, and he kept on looking at me. So as he was busy chowing the food, my brother, that was when I lifted my skirt. When I lifted my skirt, he looked at me, and I then pointed at my cookie, and I started to speak with him, and I told him that this was the food that he desired the most. So I kept on lifting my skirt until he started following me. I walked further into that bridge, and I finally removed my underwear, and I just slept. And after I had removed my underwear, I then laid myself down, and the guy, he came like an animal. I saw him, he was busy now playing with his manhood. He came and he knelt down and he started riding me. This guy, he slept with me until I wanted to vomit with the way that he was pushing in and out. When he was done, just like that traditional healer had told me, he said that I was supposed to wipe myself, and after wiping myself, then I was supposed to keep that cloth that I had used to wipe my private parts. Unfortunately, because I was nervous at that time, I did not carry the cloth that he had given me because I was unsure if this guy was going to sleep with me. So I ended up using my underwear and my tights to wipe myself. Instead of me driving to Eastern Cape, I then returned back to Johannesburg. I returned back to Johannesburg, and I remember that by the time that I arrived at that traditional healer's place, it was somewhere around 2 a.m. I banged on his door, and I was happy. And when he opened the door, he said, "What are you doing in the middle of the night, making all of this noise? Don't you know that you will end up waking my ancestors?" And I then showed him my tights as well as my underwear. And he said, aha, my daughter, so you have done it. You have done it. Come inside, come inside. We then went inside, and he prepared a cup of coffee for me because I was like freezing. We then went at the back of his house where he had his consulting room. When we went there, Brother Nashi, that was when he took those items from me, and they were still wet, and he smiled at me and he said, "You naughty one, you naughty one. So you found yourself a madman to sleep with." And I then explained to him everything that had happened. After that, that was when this guy, he said that he was going to prepare some charms for me. He was going to strengthen me, and he was going to use some charms on my private parts that were going to make my boss lady's husband to be addicted to me, as well as giving me some roots that I was supposed to place underneath my tongue each and every time when I'll be busy speaking with my boss lady's husband. Well, Brother Nashi, I was strengthened, and after he had cleaned my private parts, he then rubbed a lot of herbs that seemed to be like tobacco on his manhood. After he had rubbed those herbs on his manhood, that was when he said that he wanted to sleep with me. So we ended up sleeping together, and he said that, "I do not want you to wash yourself. Do you hear? You do not have to wash yourself until you have slept with your boss lady's husband." So I took everything and I returned back. Since I had all the keys and everything, I just arrived. When I arrived, this was somewhere around past 5 early in the morning, and I went and I fell fast asleep. So the next day when I woke up, my boss lady, she had already rushed to work for this other meeting, and it was me and my boss, and he said that he wanted me to assist him with washing this other car because he wanted to go out and play golf. When we were busy washing the car, I quickly returned to my back room, and I took that root and I placed it underneath my tongue. My brother, I then wore this other short skirt. I don't want to lie to you, I was not even wearing any underwear at all. I wanted like to seduce him. So as I was busy cleaning the car, he noticed that I did not have anything, and the guy just rushed to where I was and he touched me. I did not even move. I pretended as if I was shy. He took me and he wanted to take me to his bedroom, and I said, "No, let us not go there." And I begged him to go with me to my back room. We went to the room where I was staying, and we made love, and I had been given this other cloth that I was supposed to use on him after sleeping with him. I refused I refused to sleep with him using condoms because I won't be able to wipe him, and there were some of his sperms that were needed by that traditional healer. So I seduced him until we slept together without using any protection. I wiped him, and after that I begged him and I said that I wanted to meet one of my uncles who was passing through Johannesburg, and he then allowed me. I quickly rushed to that traditional healer's place, and he then gave me this other small container, and he said, I want you to squeeze all the sperms that he has left in your private parts. So I did. He then took them. I don't know what he used them for. He then gave me some charms that I was supposed to use on his wife. So I did. Then his wife passed away. This was like 6 to 7 months later. The wife just passed away, and I am still staying with my boss, and I am now his wife. We got married, my brother. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our sister right there. That was the translation that was given to me by our admin. Strange things do happen in this world.